All right, let's go ahead and jump in. We're starting about a little bit late, but the gang's all here. Our next session is going to be very exciting. Holographic creator magic. And so creating holograms using technology, not the other ways it may be people are familiar with here in the Bay Area. Kicking us off, though, is one of my favorite developers of actually all times. And I will let Ms. Dulce introduce herself, but I will say that this is a person who's been producing interactive content for 20 years, building sites ranging from entertainment-based portals to product-based community sites. She is a self-taught badass, in my opinion, but I guess that translates to full-stack developer, front-end engineer, and network IT manager, who's also been a CEO and a variety of other things, in addition to helping push forward for a more diverse and inclusive community. So with that, I will turn it over to the lovely. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Damon. Thank you so much. Well, I'm here with two amazing artists, Kevin and Brielle, and we're gonna talk and we're gonna have a conversation about our process and what inspires us with holograms. And I actually would like for Kevin and Brielle to explain who they are, what they do, and what excites them the most about being in the holographic field. So I'll start with you, Kevin.
Ooh, me first. So I'm Kevin, born in Malaysia, raised in San Francisco, lifelong artist. I've worn a lot of different hats throughout my career, everything from feature film animator, I've worked on docs, broadcast designer. Right now I'm a designer, a contract designer, but by night I feel like the mad scientist. I get to do all my dastardly things, like with this little beautiful portrait. Actually, you can see it right here. Brielle brought it up, and I have mine too. So we'll do in stereo at some point. Yeah. Sorry, what was the rest of the question? What excites me about this space?
What do holograms mean to you?
I think a lot of hardware like this, especially hardware specific to this one, excites me because it's a real seed generator for my ideation and creation. In that, I get this newfound ability to sort of marry utility and empathy at the same time through my work, because there's all, as you can just see, just from this like sizzle reel right here, it's like, oh yeah, you can showcase your artwork. And you can start going into areas of telepresence. Like last week I did something for Day of the Dead where I made a virtual altar. Those are just things that are just coming up on the fly. So yeah, it's a little idea generator for me.
Nice. And yourself?
Yeah, my name is Brielle Garcia. I'm a AR designer and developer. I do a lot of work with Snapchat and a variety of different brands, working on branded experiences on a lot of different platforms. What excites me the most about this technology is just the reduced friction that comes with. Like, there's no device, there's no teaching. It's just you put it in front of someone and say, hey, look at this. This is cool. And you get it immediately. There's no like checking the tracking or anything. And it feels like a glimpse into the future. Like, it's there's not many things that just like truly feels like so cool and feels like the future. But when you look at one of these in person, it's like, oh wow, this is this is wild. And it gets you excited about what you can do with it and what's coming down the pipeline. And I've just been doing lots of experiments with it, how it could work with my workflow, building with Lens Studio and Unity and some of the stuff I've done with Unreal, and it's just super exciting and fun to make stuff for.
Very nice. And piggybacking on what you were just saying about seeing it in person, I have one in the playground right now in my booth, and it was something I added extra onto the booth setup. And we have 2 flat screens up with our avatar spinning in the flat screen. But for some reason, everybody just gravitates towards that little box right there on the table and they want to talk about the little box and what's going on in there and why does the avatar look so much different in that space than it does on the flat and how engaging it is. And it's very visceral for people to see it. So I wanted to ask you, Brielle, how has this technology changed how you create or look at your art right now?
Well, it's changed it because every project I work on now, I think, oh, how would this look on Looking Glass? I've been able to bring back old Lens Studio projects and convert them to work on Looking Glass, and it just gives them a whole new life and dimension. And just being able to think, like, when someone looks at this, they can get that extra depth and that extra presence. I don't know, it makes every project I work on now, I think about, oh, how would this look on it? Do I have time to adapt it to this or not? And yeah, I'm so excited to be in person again, where I can show people, because the videos look great, but they don't do justice to seeing it. And it's one of those things that's really hard to convey.
Yeah, definitely.
We can only do this so much with a camera.
Yeah, it's like a real VR or AR headset. Like, the demo videos look great, but it's when you really try that you get it.
Yeah, yeah. Same question for you.
Yeah, you used the word visceral earlier.
Yes.
That's exactly it. There's also almost something primal. So you are taking away our, scuba gear. You're taking away the screen, and it's just direct one-on-one engagement with it. And then my mind goes elsewhere too. It's like, well, like the telepresence thing I spoke to. What if it's combined with, for example, I think it's called the Emerge platform,
Yep.
right? Where it's tactile. It
Yep.
actually projects tactile haptic feedback into the air. So
Ultrasonic, yep.
exactly. And putting that in conjunction with I have to imagine at some point those two will speak to each other in some way.
Yes.
And so extrapolating that to talking to a friend from across the world. And because I have a friend who got Normcore, and Normcore is a multiplayer SDK, working on Looking Glass. I'm like, well, why aren't we all just doing this all the time?
Right.
Yeah, so it's all very, very exciting to me.
It's beautiful that you brought up the haptic feedback along with it. I mean, when you have something like the Looking Glass where you can motion capture your face and
Right.
have yourself real time projected in this system, but then also have that haptic feedback, that really breaks the barrier of distance between two people.
Exactly.
If there was a two-way configuration, and I believe there can be a way to do that. You just
Absolutely.
have to do it. You have to
And
build it. Yeah.
I have a hologram on here that I recorded from the front depth camera on the iPhone, and you bring it in, and it's a very interesting feeling to be staring at your face, and it's like, this is just a mirror, but it's not mimicking me, it's doing this recording that I've already done. It's just it's such a wild feeling.
Yeah, it's very interesting. For me, the way that it's changed my work is I do a lot of VR virtual spaces, but I dive deep into creating 3D art and 3D avatars because of the NFT market that has spawned, and also access to a high-end Alienware computer that I was dreaming and lusting over, and then all of a sudden I had it in my hands, and I was like, yay! So I was able to start making these 4K, 10K, 6K renders of my avatar, and I was really just focused on the flat 2D aspect of it and rendering out flat 2D video. And now I don't see myself focusing on video at all, and really just exporting out these animations and these avatars for this holographic display is where I'm going from now on. And it makes sense to apply these kinds of small displays for NFTs or for some sort of smart wallet, because then you can display your work all the time and just have it there all the time so you can show your collection. I think that's a very valuable thing.
I think Marlon told me once that they're having a lot of customers are buying it to, NFT artists are putting their work on there
On there.
to send to people that bought the NFT as
That's right.
an extra way of presenting it. And I
Yeah.
think that's really cool.
Yeah, so that's very cool. Okay, so next question. I'll start with you, Kevin. How has holographic display elevated your art?
Okay, we're getting in. Well, I started first and foremost in the XR space as a VR artist. I hadn't done as much 3D upwards to that point. I mean, before this, I was thinking about getting into children's book illustration, and I still sort of bring that sensibility to it. I think it's upped it in terms of, because I think a lot about pipeline. I think something we probably will touch on at some point is talking about the process and the pipeline, the journey of that. Starting out in a VR tool is already quite interesting because that is already very hugely spatial and hugely embodied. And going from that, the spectrum of thinking about a hologram as the endpoint is a really fun exercise, even just mentally. Like, well, what could I do once I get it into the hologram, and how will someone engage with it from that point? So I think thinking from the point of view of what are my truest intentions, and how is my voice sort of coming through in that piece. So for me, I'm like you. I love making avatars as well, whether or not it's avatars for myself to embody in places like VR chat, or yeah, I kind of see myself as both like Geppetto, like the creator, but also as Pinocchio at the same time.
Interesting.
And so I get to play those two roles. And so as a hologram, it's really interesting. It's like, well, what happens when I sort of that role sort of like jumps into another space? So something that I do, for instance, before I finish a piece, is I do like a little cuddle test with my characters. I'm like, okay, I scale them up to size, which is something that's very unique to VR. And I'm just like, is this huggable? Is this endearing to me as an artist? And do I fall in love with it first?
Yeah.
And like that's it. I'm just like, I know this will just translate just as strongly into the hologram.
Nice, nice. Speaking of the cuddle aspect of it, you make some really interesting, cute creations that show up like creatures and things, like the elephant man and the alien face, or what is that one?
Oh, Desmond.
Desmond, yeah. They're just really cool and fun-looking characters that are just so interesting. Yeah, how has it elevated your work in that way?
Yeah, so working with holograms has been, I guess 2021 has kind of been like a shift for me. Like, I was doing a lot of stuff with Snapchat, but any visual effects work was still being done in the Cinema 4D After Effects pipeline for me. And my background is in visual effects, and I'm used to like long render times and all of this. But 2021 has kind of been a shift towards, okay, I bought a 3090, installed Unreal 5, and just jumped in to produce a music video. And my whole process, like my whole mindset has shifted now. And right around the time I was doing that, I got a looking glass, and it's just kind of all become like this huge mindset shift of thinking in real-time rendering and not having to think about long post-production cycles. And to me, being able to iterate quickly and test things quickly is like the fuel for my creativity, which if you follow me on Twitter, a lot of the things I post are just like dumb things that I'll think of, and if I can make it in an hour, I'll post it and move on. And that has just kind of driven my creativity here. And being able to do like real-time stuff with holograms has just been another piece of that puzzle, driving me towards doing more and more real-time rendering and what can we do with this and that. And I love seeing like these dumb little characters come to life. I think it's not on right now, but you can come see Desmond dance. I did a motion capture sequence with the character Desmond, and yeah, it's hard to argue with, just it's fun.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to get bogged down in, like the business and the future and the vision, but what excites me is like, is it fun? Are people laughing? Are we like, not to is it bringing joy to people? And like that is what like drives me in my core.
Nice.
That's actually really cool that you say that, because I think about that constantly, this spine of, throughout my work, of trying to, if I'm learning, because we all are still learning in our own ways, at our own pace, how do I incentivize my personal growth through play? And this is a very playful device.
Yes.
Both as someone who's consuming it and both as someone who's creating for it. And so I'm always thinking about that. What about this? For instance, like, I finally got like the holy trinity of like apps working inside of it. So it was Unreal, Blender, and Unity. And that's just like, it's great to get through that course and then not feel like it's a chore,
Right.
you know?
Right. So in my case, the way it elevated my work was just seeing it for the first time, like doing the Hello World on one piece of my own art and seeing it for the first time. I just was like, okay, I'm never going back. Like I'm going to do the holograms from now on. I will render out high-res video and some images, but that's just to test to make sure that I like my scene and I like my art. But I think the end result from now on will always be some sort of holographic display for me because, again, I'll go back to that word visceral. Like you're standing in front of it and you see it and it's just there and it's kind of hovering in that box and it's nothing like you've ever seen it before. The only downfall is that it's so small. Like I wish it was bigger, you know, and I know they have a large one that's really expensive, but these small devices definitely give you a glimpse into the future of where we're heading as far as displays and the way that we're going to see 3D work moving forward, especially like the NFT work. That's really important. 1 second. So the next question is, and you touched on this about your pipeline, you know, what is your 3D pipeline getting your work into the looking glass portrait? And, you know, what are some pain points in your pipeline? And what are some really cool things in your pipeline?
Oh, we could have a separate session on
Okay.
pain points. It hurts. Yeah, no, that's a good question. Pipeline, like I said earlier, VR tools are a big part of. I'm almost very, at the risk of being like, you know, strict on myself, I'm almost so bent on using things like Adobe Medium and Gravity Sketch and Tilt Brush, Tavori, like the whole suite of apps that, because for me it's about experimenting with what you can get away with in the pipeline from the get-go. And then, of course, the pain points start from there because as you start bringing it to Blender and like, oh, there's too many polys, there's this and that, and you know, and you're there at like 2 a.m. in the morning and trying to figure out why does this rig not want to cooperate at all? But the pain is made better by, I think it comes back to the whole thing about play. Like the reward is knowing that, and this is my question for you both as well, and you know, for other people in the room, I think. A commonality that we all share is our tenacity. Like we have a real drive to do the thing, to make the thing that was in our head, right? And where does that come from for us? And for me, a big part of that is community, for sure. Is just, you know, on our feeds, we see what our friends are doing, and that's very encouraging. And also just like, and some of my good friends are in this room right now, like just having that support. That's really big for me.
I would agree with you on that. I have a motto of I want to make dope things with dope people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We need that shirt.
Yeah. Let's make dope things with dope people. Yeah.
In a hologram.
Yeah. And a hologram, exactly. So same for you, your pipeline.
So one of the things that's really cool about Looking Glass is there's so many different avenues to create a hologram. They have plugins for Unity, Unreal, Blender, Web. You can also figure out how to take photos in a light field array, and you can bring those in and create like holograms that way. An avenue I wanted to experiment with was, could I incorporate Snapchat Lens Studio to make the bar for creating custom animated holograms even easier? Like, could you do it on your phone and then load that video into a looking glass and use it as a hologram. And it took a couple nights of hacking, but I got together a project that renders a character that uses face animation from Lens Studio and brings it into Looking Glass as a hologram. And for me, it was really cool because it lowers the barrier to entry to create custom holograms even lower. Like, because some of the other Unity holograms I made, like the mocap or face animation, like it's not too difficult, but there's a lot of steps, and it's a lot to ask for someone who maybe doesn't use Unity all the time. Like, is there a pipeline to get it even easier? And I'm working on packaging up this Lens Studio project, and I'll post it online. So if you build things with Lens Studio, you can create holograms, and it's a really fun hackable device that's just really flexible and can do a lot of cool things.
Well, that's the key. It's hackable,
Yeah.
so you're able, and it's basically a display. And if you understand how to quilt the animation or bring in the 3D from the software, or make your own software that brings in the 3D, or bring it into Unity, I mean, your imagination is really what's limiting you at that point. You can pretty much do anything, and then like attaching a haptic device, like you mentioned, to it just takes it even to that next level. So in my case, my pipeline, I use DAZ Studio, which allows me to create my 3D avatar and create some beautiful high-end scenes. It also has some amazing shaders and texture rendering abilities in DAZ Studio that then I bridge into Blender. And that's been the pain point for me, honestly, is getting those two applications to really talk to each other and bring in the things that I need perfectly or somewhat good from DAZ, so I can rebuild it, or I can change it and fix it in Blender. But from Blender into the Looking Glass, it was so easy, and from Unity into the Looking Glass, it was very easy. So that was the thing that surprised me the most, and that's going to be my next question for you guys. I want to, echo what you were saying earlier, how easy it really is to use this Looking Glass. It's very turnkey. You just download the software, you make sure the proper cords are plugged in, and boom, you're already seeing a hologram in the device. And you can take your iPhone photos, your portrait photos, and you can drop those in there. If you want to have a Looking Glass portraits book of your favorite pictures on your iPhone that were taken in 3D with the depth sensing camera, you can have those on there. It's so easy, so simple to bring them in. So the pain points are really how you develop your 3D, the programs you use to develop the 3D. So that was the thing that surprised me the most. What surprised you the most about the product?
I think how extensible it was surprising to me, that it wasn't designed to be a locked down ecosystem, that it's essentially a display that's expecting a certain type of image, and if you can generate that type of image, it'll display it as a hologram. And I've liked that the team is accessible. Like, I can email questions and they're super helpful. They want to see creators succeed with their devices and want to showcase your cool stuff, and they're just a wonderful company to interact with.
Yeah. Janet and Marlon are great people. Yes.
Yeah, good group.
And you? What surprises you?
What surprises me? Yeah, and let me travel a little bit back in time, because I'm old enough to remember that there used to be hologram galleries. There was one that my dad used to take me to on Haight Street. And,
weren't they like the lenticular holograms?
This
No,
is real deal.
Real deal.
Like
Okay.
rainbow.
Oh yeah, I remember those, and they were like in a tube. Yeah.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
it was magical. I call this my little magic machine.
Nice.
And I remember there was one specific hologram that stood out. It was an old school microscope, and you could look inside the microscope and see, I think it was a bug, if I remember correctly. I was like, how do they do that? everything about that. To me, that's still mind-blowing, actually. So then we come to today, and we're here, and it blows me away that there's this ease of, to your point about being able to quite easily get it into that space. But actually, furthermore, not only is that a seed generator, it's also a learning tool.
Yep.
So if people are thinking to themselves, oh, I got to learn Unreal, I have to learn Unity at some point.
Yep.
There is that initial assent that most people face as like, oh, I don't code, I don't do this, this, this. You can fill in all the excuses. But if you just take that, look at it, it's form factor,
Yep.
it's not intimidating.
I haven't used any code to create any holograms for it. So that if you're afraid of code,
Yep.
don't be. You don't need it.
Right, exactly. And it's just a wonderful way to say, hey, I just started in Unity.
Yep. I even think there's even a way to get out of Adobe 3D, right? Into the Looking Glass. So if you're an Adobe artist, it's so easy to get something in there from Adobe also. Yeah.
All paths lead back to
Yep.
the LKG, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a really important question to ask. What inspires your work? And I don't know who wants to go first.
I can go first. I touched on it a little bit. What drives me and inspires me is I like making people laugh. I remember the very first video project I ever made in high school, my junior year chemistry class. I had started dabbling in After Effects and visual effects, and I made this just elaborate, dumb safety video for chemistry class. And I worked 2 weeks straight on it, just every night, worked super late. And then after all of it, I got to present it to the class, and I sat back and super nervous. But then everyone laughed at the jokes. Like, they got it, and they wanted to watch it again. And I remember sitting back there in that feeling. I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, this feeling right here is what drives me. And I thought it was going to be in filmmaking. It's turned into creating AR experiences where not only do I get to make dumb memes that make people laugh online, like I think I even made Boz at Meta laugh because I made a dumb meme of Zuckerberg being hit with a pillow, and he thought that was funny. And I was just like, laughter is like bringing all of us together, no matter where we're at and what level. And yeah, I like making people laugh, and I like making the tools that help others. So when people use my lenses, either, like, I think the most popular filter I make, in the past 2 years, I made a filter that makes you bald, and a filter that puts a realistic PlayStation 5 system in your world. And I saw lots of people pranking their significant others with the PlayStation videos, where they would take video of themselves saying, "Hey babe, look what I just bought."
Oh, man.
And it was just, it's so much fun. Like, I feel like if I can make people laugh, that it's making the world just a little bit better.
Very nice. Same question for you. Yeah.
I think the broader answer is that storytelling, especially in the form of films, television, games, have always influenced me. But it's interesting. I think in the past year, especially during this pandemic, it's actually social VR that has really sort of helped. I mean, I should explain this. The context is that I wasn't seeing friends anymore, and what was really immensely emotionally grounding for me was, for instance, in this case, the last time I had seen these friends from Canada was OC6, and we decided that, okay, we gotta still do things together. So VR chat became our sort of hub, and then it turned into organically turned into live streaming VR chat worlds and avatars. I mean, last week I was dancing with a bunch of furries, most of whom were doing shots, dancing to happy hardcore.
Oh
I was a mogwai.
Why
the whole
wasn't I
time.
invited?
I know.
Up?
I'll say. I'll get you in next time. VIP suite.
I should have shown up as Desmond.
Yes, exactly.
I have Desmond in VR chat.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that next time. And that has become so normalized for me now. But the bigger point is that I get so joyful about being able to translate that back into, for example, into a hologram, or like, for me, VR chat is also a really cool way to create safe healing spaces for people too. I've done 2 worlds around BLM, as sort of monuments to, one is for Elijah McClain, the other one is for Mr. Cooper, and so I did that. Like, you can actually pick up giant birds in one of those worlds, and again, cuddling. I have apparently a thing for cuddling and furries.
Cuddling furries.
It's a whole separate session, guys.
That's a whole nother talk.
Really getting a real insight into my psyche. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I think so.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. So what inspires my work is I'm gonna piggyback on what you're talking about with social VR, and I am a web developer. I've been building websites and pages since the mid '90s, and social VR has always been something that I've really enjoyed participating in, and never really, like, I would build worlds in Second Life, but I didn't ever feel like I was actually building something that was mine in a virtual space. And then when WebXR started to become a thing, I was like, holy crap, I could totally make my own metaversal spaces and have people, hang out in my worlds. So the WebXR is definitely something that inspires me. Web development and coding for 3D spaces is something that definitely inspires my work. And I'm bridging some of my 3D work into these metaversal spaces through smart contracts like the MetaMask and NFT and OpenSea and Foundation and such, and bringing those pieces into these virtual spaces and having a connection with the art that I make. But I want to take it to the next level, and when I say I want to take it to the next level, I really mean the thing that inspired me the most about this device. When the very first time I ever saw this device, I believe it was in 2017 here at AWE, or 18, one of those years. And they had a whole array of these on the wall with like tons of different art pieces displaying. And they even had the really big one showing some very big, beautiful pieces in there. But there were 2 pieces on the wall that just really stood out to me that I just was like so fascinated with, and they really inspired everything about the way I see virtual interactions and how to tell your content or tell your story with this device. And so the first one was Reggie Watts. He made a music video. And that was wild. Like, I never saw anything like that before. And I kept coming back to this music video. And the music is what caught me first. I was like, ooh, that's a groovy tune. You're like, wow, I like that song. Where's that coming from? And then I found it in the looking glass, and I was like, whoa. And I literally like got super close to it to like see all the detail and the amazing capture. And I guess they did it on a massive sound stage, with the cameras all around, volumetric capture. And it was just a very beautiful, beautiful music video that like I just was so amazed by. And then the second piece was by a very good friend of mine who runs a company called Marpy Studios. He goes by the name Marpy. And he was using the Leap Motion.
Leap Motion, right.
Yeah. And you could play with his little creature, this like sea anemone and jellyfish kind of thing, and move it around, and you're moving your fingers around and you see it moving, and you can almost feel yourself moving it, because the way the animation moves with your fingers and the gesturing, it feels like you're running your fingers through like pearls or like little soft objects, and you almost feel these soft objects in your hand. And that was a very visceral, inspiring thing. So applying haptics with this device, using it as a means to take traditional content pieces and convert them into something deeper and richer and with more depth, is definitely the most exciting aspect of all of this for me. And I think my next level is figuring out how to create applications, customized applications that work with this device. One idea that I was thinking of was making an application that allowed for a holographic FaceTime of sorts, right? So you can have several faces, holographic faces in there all talking with each other through your device and communicating in that way, connecting it online to, websites to bring in web information through there as well. There's just a lot that you could do. I don't know.
Yeah, I've
But
seen a
you're-
few demos with the Azure Connect to do like holographic video calls, and it's just like it's not here yet, but this is it's so cool, and I just love getting a glimpse of like this is the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is totally my jam. And to your point about the leap motion, actually, I'm very curious if both of you have experimented with leap motion. But in my case, I got as far with the leap motion that I was thinking about we're inundated with these news feeds all day, but it's kind of very rare that we really can stop and just focus on one and have this like moment with them. So I'm thinking of how about if this little magic machine becoming like an RSS feed generator, but interactive, like truly interactive. And so with the leap motion, I was thinking about, okay, we were having
Like
wildfires.
going and you'd stop one and it would come up.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, I was thinking about the wildfires in California, and I'm sure there were certain species that were in danger at the time. And I brought one of my little birds in, another cuddly bird, and leap motion to just get far enough that I could touch the bird in that piece. So what if you had the headline, you had the blurb, but that basically builds your empathy muscle again.
Yep.
It's like, oh, this creature is in danger.
That empathy muscle that you're talking about is huge, especially with a haptic device like the ultrasonic one, where you're actually feeling, and that ultrasonic device would be perfect with the Marby piece, exactly what I'm saying, that you can feel it even with the leap motion and you're not even actually feeling any feedback. Imagine adding air to that as well and actually feeling it on your fingertips. I mean, it would just take it to a whole nother level. I mean, bridging communication between people that are at a distance, because Zoom calls are one thing, but, actually having some sort of feedback that's real really does make those connections deeper and wider when you're dealing with people at a distance.
Smell.
And smell also, yeah, that would be interesting too. Okay, so let's, any final thoughts that you want to add, like, or mention?
Buy a looking glass.
Buy a looking
It's-
glass.
As easy as that.
It's $300. Like it's super fun if you have
Yep.
the means and you're generating 3D art in any platform. It's fun.
Yep.
It's a good community, great artists online, and yeah.
So how can people reach you? Can you give
Yeah,
us
probably
that?
the best way to find me, I'm very active on Twitter, at Taco Lamp, or you can visit my website at tacolamp.com.
Tacolamp.com, okay?
Oh, I want to read a quote by Brielle, actually, which off of Twitter which was, "That's probably the most exciting part of this XR industry. No one knows what the right answer is. Everyone at every level is trying something different." And I think, that kind of sums up what we are and what we do. Anyways, I just wanted to give you your flowers.
I want your thoughts on that. Like, what made you really, what hit you hard with that quote?
What hit me hard was, it deeply resonates with me, because if people tell you in this space that they know what's going to happen and they know what they're doing, I don't, for one, believe them, because we're all pioneering in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
And the different, that's exactly right. And the different is our voice, coming through.
I compared it like this to someone yesterday. I was like, this is our industry right now is the internet in 1995. Like, there's so
Yes.
much promise and future, and it's exciting, but like we're arguing over, are we going to call this information superhighway? Like, probably not. Like,
Yeah.
who knows where it's going? Like, we can't imagine like the apps that are going to be created 15 years from now. Like, let's just build and have fun, and like let's lift each other up. Like,
Exactly.
Well, that's a key thing. This is a pioneering tool, right? So it started on a Kickstarter, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and it's been really kind of like people are sleeping on it a little bit. Like, they see it and they realize and they ask how much it is, and then all of a sudden the wheels start turning. I think it definitely needs to be put out more.
I think the portrait is more recent, which is the more
Okay.
affordable one.
That's
I think
right,
in the past
okay.
it has been more expensive, and it is one of those things you have to see in person to really
Yeah.
get it. So.
Yeah. So I'm Dulce303 everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm a 3D artist. I also have an NFT collection on OpenSea. I've created this avatar. I name her Esme, and I'm going to create a whole avatar suite underneath my AV Goddess moniker. And currently I have a collection of Esme that's going into the Looking Glass as well. I call her my NFT witch, and she's forging coins in the fire. So if you want to check that out, just go Dulce303 on OpenSea. And again, if you want to see these devices in action, I have one at the playground, displaying one of the avatars that I'm also doing in the playground for my other project.
And we'll have both of ours
Yeah.
Out
here
and
if
about
you
on
wanna
the
see.
floor.
In
if you wanna
stereo.
see, yeah. Do you know what booth you'll be in with yours, or?
I'll just be out in the
Just
hall.
Oh, we'll just be
roaming around?
outside.
Okay, just be outside.
DIY.
I should
Pop
have
up.
I should
Check
have a
out.
battery, so we should be just come
Okay.
check out Desmond do his dance.
Okay,
My
any-
handles. I forgot my handles, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, go.
My handles are on Instagram, Binkoland, BINGKOLAND. And on Twitter, you'll find me under Kevo, KEVO. But the most important one is, as I mentioned earlier, I live stream with my Canadian crew. Big shout out to them. Better Together VR. And you can find us on YouTube and Twitch.
Okay. Any final
you so much.
thoughts?
No, you can just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
That's all I say.
Yeah?
Please.
Having any questions? Do we
Yeah, do we have time for
Yeah,
questions?
Do you have any
three
questions?
3 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, question.
Brielle, I am a chemistry professor, and I teach my chemistry course in virtual reality. I'm a professor at Morehouse College. So when you said that thing about the chemistry lab, I just wanted you to know that you're going to, my phone is charging in the back, so I'm going to need you to repeat that for my students so that they can understand, like, how this is a gateway to opening up their world and creativity. But I love what all of you all are doing. I think it's wonderful. And Kevin, when you said, like, if somebody tells you that they're expert in this, like, we are all pioneers.
Yeah.
Like, let's be clear about it.
Damn
But-
right.
Right. But I just love your energy. I've been at your exhibit, Dolce. It is wonderful. So I
Thank
got
you.
lots of pictures of myself interacting. And I just think that what you all are doing and what you all are promoting, and your energy is good. And so I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity, because this is not my world normally, but I've always applied tech to anything that I did in the molecular level. And so now it's like now I see all the other creative things that I can do with it. So thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate your energy.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is your world because it's your tools.
Hi, this was amazing. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing your work. I have so many things to say. I'll try to make it really quick. I think we've been doing photography the same since the 1800s. I mean, fundamentally, it's flat imagery imaging, flat image displays. And so when we approach something like a holographic display or a light field display, you're recreating a real reality. And that's, that part of that visceral experience is you're seeing something real, for real, that you perceive as real. So thank you for bringing all of your artwork into this space. I'm an engineer by trade. I'm a creator by heart. I wanted to offer, if you have anything that you need technically as an engineer, I'd be really eager to work with you to help you, because that's my domain. I like artist as a second position. So I'd love to come and talk to you. I've seen that same museum of holography in Chicago, that microscope display, maybe also what sort of triggered my interest
cool.
in this. It's so very cool. And then the last thing, I guess, I would say, I would pay a bunch of money to have a Reggie Watts in a
Yeah.
box like this on my desk, for sure. No doubt.
Great points. Any other questions for these people at the moment? Okay.
I was curious because my first thought is, I know when I see it, I will want to touch things. So how easy is it to do the haptic feedback? Have you guys done a lot with that?
I've only dabbled in the face motion capture with the phone, and I do know that you can connect the RealSense device as well as the Leap Motion device. I personally haven't connected one of those devices just yet. I will eventually. But I can tell you what the feeling is like to be in front of Looking Glass that is doing the haptic and the Leap Lotion. It really feels like you're there, like you're really touching. It's an amazing experience to do it. I mean, I kept going back to it just to play. Like, I was like, hold on. Like that one video of the kid walking the dog, and he walks by the puddle and he has to stop the dog, and he goes and bunts the puddle and then walks the dog. That's how I felt that year going by that Looking Glass every time. I would like, hold on a second. I'll go run and I'll play with it, and then I'll go walk. Yeah. So it's fun. It's so fun. And I do believe it's relatively easy to connect one of those devices. You just need to have the right software, hardware, and patience to figure things out.
Oh, patience.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I think the haptics is very, very cutting edge.
Yeah.
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 Awesome. And so, last question.
Hi, I'm a VR developer, and I just want to say thank you for the conversation and the creativity. It's really exciting. And I love the Looking Glass. I bought the older version, which I think was not as good, much more expensive. I'm thrilled that they're making such amazing progress. I guess my question is around distribution. Brielle, you said that you have to see it to really believe it. I think it's similar to VR, where you can make a believer if you can get somebody in a headset or in front of a Looking Glass, but there's a challenge there. What do y'all think of alternative holograms to light fields? Some apps use the forward-facing camera on iPhones to track your head, and as you move, they change the perspective. I know the value proposition here is, like you're saying, you can walk by multiple people, multiple viewers can see everything. But do you think there's room for something like the face tracking holograms for wider scale distribution? Thank you.
Yeah, I think I haven't thought about that before, but from a technical standpoint, it doesn't sound impossible. Yeah, I would be curious to see how that would look and feel compared to the actual hologram. Yeah, maybe I'll look into that.
Well, you mentioned the face tracking on the phone. You can tie that into the Looking Glass. So that's one of the things that you can do with the Looking Glass is have your face tracked with the front end camera into it from Unity. And when it comes into Unity, it's interesting because it is your Unity scene in 3D in the Looking Glass. And the same thing with the preview in Blender, but the Blender output is a quilt. So it's an array of images.
Yeah. One other point about distribution is the ultimate file you can generate is just a standard MP4 file. So the hard part is getting people to get the devices, but getting content for it is actually pretty easy, and we have lots of pipelines for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think now that we're in person doing events again, I think it's going to hopefully convince more people. Let's just get more devices out there. But yeah, I'm gonna.
I really
I'm gonna
think that the NFT space can definitely help with the distribution of it as well. Because most people right now, I mean, they've spent billions of dollars buying these digital assets that only are accessible when you go to a URL, or if you have it on a cold storage somewhere and then you pop it into a monitor. So this will definitely help with that type of distribution, being able to load these holograms in. Another amazing idea that I was thinking about was the possibility of like Looking Glass dropping the big ones in public spaces, and on the Looking Glass app, if you could tie it to your MetaMask wallet, and if you have an NFT, you could just Bluetooth it in to the large one and show it off to everybody. And then when you leave, you just take it off and it's gone. It's not there. It's still on your device. So there's a lot that you can do. Again, it's a hackable device. it's limited by your imagination. It's really turnkey to plug it in and get it going. And when you first see your first Hello World and your device, your 3D work in there, it's a very exciting feeling. Yeah.
And building on that distribution-wise, thinking about audiences as well, we didn't even mention gaming because I actually got my Unreal project to work in there, and I'm not even really creating a game, but I have my little like orangutan character running around in its own little universe, but in the Looking Glass live with an Xbox controller. That is mind-blowing to me that we're
I've
doing
seen
that.
Doom running on it, and it's like, it's cool.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually really interesting. Gaming on it,
Right.
playing games on it, that's very interesting, yeah.
Awesome. Well, a big round of applause for these amazing people.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And definitely we appreciate you sharing your thoughts and giving us a view through the Looking Glass. Make sure to check out the playground, check out the different things over there, and definitely the experience that Dulce's created. And I will definitely say I love also that comment. We've heard it, but we're all pioneering different things. So with that said, talk and learn with as many people as you can for the rest of today, right? And hopefully you'll go do that at lunch now. So go and enjoy lunch. We have to take care of our needs in reality as much as we get inspired by the augmented and virtual. And then we'll see you back in here at 13:45 for the next session, which is 5 Lessons Learned Implementing Holograms in Web AR by Yanni Benstock. So look forward to seeing you then. Thank you again, lovely panelists, and thank you all for participating in this panel.